This may seem a little sudden, but today we will be airing a special missing persons program. The person we are looking for is Ishinaga Kikue, who went missing in 1969. On April 30th, 2024, viewers who were watching Terebi Tokyo in the early hours of the morning were treated to this special announcement. What followed was a half-hour public appeal looking for the aforementioned Ishinaga Kikue, a woman who went missing all the way back in the late 1960s. But why on earth were they looking for her now, over half a century later? And why was everything about this search so weird? The answers to this mystery would unfold over several weeks, gripping people in a fascinating and increasingly horrifying tale that many didn't even realize was actually a mockumentary. Yes, numerous people got Blair Witched while watching this one and actually thought it was real. But beneath this honestly enthralling piece of work was a story so good that I'm still thinking about it even now. And that's why I'm here to share it with you today. Buckle in, folks. This is a crazy ride. So, let's start with a very brief introduction to the show. Ishinaga Kikue o sagashite imasu, or Looking for Ishinaga Kikue, was created as the first season of the TXQ fiction mockumentary series, which is still running today. Originally, it consisted of just 3 episodes, which aired on April 30th, May 11th, and then May 18th in 2024. These 3 episodes, presented as a real missing persons show, claimed to be looking for a woman by the name of Ishinaga Kikue, who went missing in 1969. An elderly man by the name of Yonehara Sanetsugu had been looking for her for the last 55 years. Who was she to him? Someone like family. Yet it remained a mystery as to why this now elderly man had really been looking for her for so long, and the mystery only grew when he died shortly after meeting with the program staff. But then things got even weirder when apparent sightings and even videos came in from the public claiming they had seen Ishinaga, or at least had evidence of her whereabouts at different times. But this evidence was increasingly bizarre. Dead bodies underwater. Blurry photos, all of the same woman, apparently Ishinaga, with numbers on them. Sightings of her all over the country. And perhaps strangest of all, nobody actually knew what Ishinaga looked like. All Yonehara had was an old blurry photo, and attempts using AI to visualize what she might actually look like all ended up coming out kinda warped. Who on earth was Ishinaga Kikue? Why was Yonehara looking for her? And how did all of these bizarre pieces of evidence relate to her? And that's the thing. These 3 episodes alone really didn't explain anything about the story. They just presented various pieces. And so, on May 24th, a special 4th episode aired that attempted to explain what was happening, without studio segments, simply using clips from previous episodes and some new footage to tie everything together. Except, in the end, it just created even more questions than answers. Viewers speculated and discussed the show online until the cows came home, but nobody really had any good answers for what actually happened on this show. It became such a hot topic that over a year later, on July 16th, 2025, a book was finally released that answered everything. Written from the perspective of someone related to a woman who worked on the show, it explained piece by piece all of the evidence that appeared on the show, went even further with information that never made it to air, and then finally revealed the true secret behind Ishinaga Kikue's bizarre existence. Trust me when I say you're not going to believe where this story goes. It absolutely blew me away. So, with that lengthy introduction out of the way, let's get into it. Who was Ishinaga Kikue? Why were so many people looking for her? And why, perhaps, should she have remained hidden? It goes without saying that this video is going to be full of spoilers. This show isn't available in English, nor is it likely the book will be translated, so I'm going to do my best to introduce you guys to quite possibly one of my favorite pieces of Japanese horror media from the last decade. It would be a shame for it to remain hidden from English-speaking audiences. So, Episode 1 begins with the studio explaining a little about who Ishinaga Kikue is, or was. Born August 10th, 1947, Ishinaga was around 145 centimeters tall, of average build, and had an oval-shaped face. At the time of her disappearance in 1969, her hair was about shoulder length, and it was also noted that she couldn't speak. Now, this program came about because members of the crew were introduced to a man by the name of Yonehara Sanetsugu. He passed away shortly before the show aired, and he was 84 at the time of his death, meaning he would have been about 7 years older than Ishinaga. And, for some reason, he had been looking for her for the last 55 years. In fact, he was known around town as a little eccentric because he went out and about pretty much daily with missing persons posters, hanging them up everywhere and handing them out to anyone he came across, to the point where everyone in town had already received them numerous times, and they were all but useless because they didn't even have a picture of this woman who went missing 55 years ago on them anyway. Yonehara was the second eldest son of 5 siblings, but by the time of filming, he was the only person from his entire family still alive. Everyone had already died of illness or in some sort of accident. Now, while he had numerous photos of his family in their youth, he apparently didn't have any of Ishinaga. When asked to draw a picture of her, he emphasized the laugh lines on her face. After interviewing some locals, who all pretty much agreed that Yonehara is a little weird, the staff ask a somewhat provocative question. Does Ishinaga even actually exist? After all, he has no photos of her. Nobody seems to know who she is. How do they know he's not just making all this up? Finally, Yonehara gets up and returns with the one single photo he has of her. It's a blurry photo of her standing outside in a dress that was apparently taken when she was 22, so around the time she went missing. Back at the studio, they show a rough AI recreation of how she might look if the photo weren't blurry. And indeed, the laugh lines on her face are rather distinctive. But that's it. She's just your average woman, really. The studio announces that their public lines are now open for people to call in with any information they might have regarding this missing woman. Anything at all. Every piece helps. A few people call in, and the studio collects these apparent sightings on a whiteboard. Weirdly, these pieces of information come from all around the country, and things get even stranger when a neighbor of Yonehara's calls. He sends the studio a video he took of Yonehara's house the night after his death. Numerous people can be seen walking around inside, apparently looking for something. What on earth could it all mean? With episode 2, the mystery deepens and really starts to hammer home that something isn't right here. The studio announces that they got over 3,000 calls related to possible Ishinaga sightings, but most of them turned out to be fake. However, there were 2 that they looked further into, and they present some honestly horrifying questions. First, YouTuber Kirafu-san visited an abandoned house back on February 9th that year, and while there, found some odd photos in a drawer. They were all of blurry women that looked exactly like the photo Yonehara had of Ishinaga. But weirdly, on the back, they all had numbers going up to 35. Second, a junior high boy found a video by a pond while out one day, and, well, the contents were rather unsettling. The video shows 2 men, one filming, one walking, heading to the pond, suiting up and diving in. At the bottom, they discover a body wrapped in cloth, and tied to the body is a large photo in a frame. Yeah, you guessed it. The woman in the photo also looks just like Ishinaga. Is Ishinaga the body inside the wrapping? Why was this video just left beside the pond for someone to find? And how are these 2 pieces of evidence related? The 3rd episode opens by noting that the program staff are still trying to confirm what they can regarding the pond tape from the previous episode. But then, they announce they have another video that a viewer sent in. This time, it's a local TV show from 1987 that Yonehara appeared on. It's a program dedicated to, you guessed it, locating missing people. Yonehara has been at this for the last 55 years, after all. He tells them he's looking for Ishinaga, then sits down as they do the big, "Is she here or isn't she here?" curtain reveal. Of course, she's not there, but that's when things get weird. Yonehara gets up and hands both hosts a photo of Ishinaga. Some heavy noise obscures the audio, but whatever Yonehara is saying is clearly freaking out the hosts. The one thing that does break through the noise is Yonehara saying that he's there to confirm with everyone that Ishinaga is no longer with us. He then holds up a piece of paper that's blurred and asks people to contact the number on it should they see her. Yes, as it turns out, Yonehara is apparently not looking for Ishinaga for a happy reunion. Instead, it appears he's looking for her to confirm that, well, she doesn't exist. She's no longer here. How does that even make sense? The staff hire an audio expert to see if they can extract what Yonehara was saying to the hosts beneath all the noise, and discover something horrifying. I've already dealt with her numerous times. 35 times now. You may remember from episode 2 that Kirafu-san, the YouTuber, found those photos that had up to the number 35 on the back. The photo attached to the body in the pond also had a number on it. If we follow the logical conclusion from these 3 pieces of evidence, then it appears that Yonehara is searching for Ishinaga to get rid of her. But 35 times? How is that possible? What does that even mean? Is she a clone? The staff get access to the phone number that was blurred for broadcast and discover that it's no longer in use, but they track down who it used to belong to. They meet Inagaki, who confirms that number belonged to his mother, Oto-san. And interestingly, she used to be a shaman. The mystery deepens. Inside, he digs out some old answering machine tapes that are still lying around. And there are some recordings from Yonehara in there, asking for Oto-san to once again perform some cleansing ceremonies. I've found one, so I'm calling to ask you to deal with it. I'll prepare the substitute, so let's get this done again. It's unclear exactly what all this means, but it confirms that whatever Yonehara is doing, it apparently involves numerous copies of Ishinaga that he's rounding up, and Oto-san, a shaman, is helping him dispose of them. And with that, the episode ends with the news that Yonehara's body was found in some fields near his house. He burnt to death, and police ruled it likely self-inflicted. But was that really what happened? And this is the initial mystery of Ishinaga Kikue. Who exactly was she? Why did Yonehara dedicate his life to finding her? What on earth is all this noise about substitutes and cleansing ceremonies? And how did Yonehara really die? The answers to all of these questions are way more bizarre than you might think, and the implications of what's really going on are more and more horrifying the more you think about them. But come back next week to find out. Until then, what do you think was really going on here? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you again next time.